On the last episode of the Devlog series, I was able to create a main character using AI, create a basic combat system, as well as a UI and functionality to spawn and kill enemies. And that leads us to today. We'll be starting with a UI overhaul. Now I have two different options right out of the gate that I want to show y'all. We have option number 1, where the horizontal skill bars are horizontally drawn across the entire screen, where you'll only be able to see 3 or 4 of them at most. And then we have option number 2, where they're a lot smaller, but it's easier to upgrade and you can see all of the skills at any given time while you're playing the game. Currently right now, I'm leaning more towards option 2 because I feel like it's easier user experience, but I want to see what y'all think about it because I'm incredibly torn between the two and I can't really decide. I almost forgot to show you guys, we have a new main character. So instead of the Ember guy, a little flame dude, we have a penguin who has a hat and a cane. Can't get much better than that. But we also have new enemies, so right now I'm trying to incorporate all those, just replacing the old sprites that I had previously. The next thing I wanted to do was, I wanted to make it so when you're progressing through the game, it actually feels impactful. Because right now in the game, if you're going to be progressing from level 1 to 2 to 3, it's just going to say level 1 to 2 to 3. I wanted to create a slider that kind of, animates, oh, you killed one enemy, the bar fills up 33%. You killed 2 enemies, 66%. Kill 3 enemies, boom, you're on to the next level. So that's kind of what I have here is I have a bar that's going to be just displaying every single time, and it's going to be showing you the previous level, the current level, and then the next level. So the next thing I started working on was the animation. I've never done animation before, so this whole thing was new to me. It took me a few hours just trying to figure out how to export my layers properly from Photoshop into Unity, but in the end we ended up getting there and it wasn't too bad, but the actual animations are pretty bad, so you'll see it when we get there. I did encounter a few errors though. I got this one very odd platform settings as null error when I was trying to export my PSB file into Unity. Very weird solution in case any of you guys see it, but all you have to do is add this one line of code, and for some reason it fixes it. I don't know why, but why question it? Unfortunately, I think I lost the recording from when I was actually doing the animation for this. You guys didn't really miss much, but here's the idle animation. So he will idle all the time, and voila, it's my very first animation. I continued to animate a little bit further with one of the other enemies, just because I wanted to get them feeling like, okay, he's walking towards his target. But then I realized that his legs are facing the complete opposite direction, so him walking isn't going to be a ton of sense. So I just added an idle animation to him as well. So as I mentioned before, I'm incredibly new to game design, and things like the feel of the game, the UI UX of the game, it's all unknown to me. And I found a package on unity.com called Feel, ironically enough. And what it does is it really makes the game pop, and it adds these small effects to buttons, to text. It could really be anything. In my case here, I added some scale to the button, so whenever you click on it, it gives you some feedback. And then also whenever you click on the button, it'll update the text and also make the text scale up a little bit too. So it really gives you that meaning that, oh, you clicked on this button, and it's showing you that you did that. Now, in the future, there'll definitely be more things where I add for this, but as a starting point, I think it's a really good initiative. Another small change I did was added new health bars to the game. Previously, the player and the enemy's health bars looked very, very low quality, so what I did was added one that adds some shadow, some stroke, and overall just makes the players pop whenever they deal damage and they see the health bar, instead of previously where it just felt very lackluster. Right now in the game, the player feels like he's not really doing much in the game. When he progresses through levels, he's not moving, he's just staying there, as well as the background. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to create a parallax background so that way when the player progresses through one level to the next, it moves so he feels like he's going on a journey, he's traveling throughout the game instead of just being in one place for the entirety of the game, which just looks stupid. So what I did was I opened up Photoshop, started working on some ideas. Granted, this is just a prototype, so, please don't roast me that bad, but I created some hills, some mountains, some bushes, some trees, all those kind of things. I didn't create the trees, I stole them. You get the point. And we popped them into Unity, and we started working with it. I had some issues with it right off the gate, though, because I wasn't able to create a dynamic system for this off the gate. Right now, it only statically works for this one background. In the future, I'll need to revisit this because, when you get through stages 1 through 50, you could have one background, and 51 through 100, you could have a completely different background. So I'll need to revisit this in the future, but for now, I think this is good enough to make the game feel more impactful when you are playing it. And on that note, I had to create a walking animation for the character because if we're going to be going from scenes 1 to 2 to 3, we just can't have him standing still for the entirety of the time. We want to make it seem like he's walking towards that one destination. So I ended up creating an animation controller for him, adding the animation in there, tying it into some movement, which actually is pretty easy in Unity, thankfully. Now the animation itself wasn't that great, but that'll just come with time and experience. But yeah, so here's the finished animation. He's just kind of walking through each one of the scenes. Once we get to the scene, he'll stop once he sees an enemy, and the walking animation will stop, and he'll continue with the fighting animation. And that's pretty much it. I still have to add the fighting animation, and I'm still kind of wondering what I want to do for that just yet. But for now, this is a really good start for the animations. And that's where I'm going to wrap up this devlog episode right here. We got a lot done this episode, a lot of very impactful things to make the game just look and feel better while you play it. There's a bunch of different things I need to do next episode, where I'm probably going to start tackling either the hero, so adding more effects to the hero, or start adding some pets into the game. I'm not too sure, but I guess you'll see for next time. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you got this far in, please make sure to subscribe, like, do all those things that you hate when YouTubers say. And I will see you all for the next one. Be sure to join the Discord as well if you guys are curious about the development. I always make sure to post updates in there too. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one, and stay safe. See ya.